If you click the video away, then please tell me what the reason was so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I am trying to learn international studies today in Mozambique, and after we've done it, we're gonna do extensor carpi on our strength training. That lies here. And if you participate in the extensor carpi on our strength training, then it's at your own risk. And this is part 5 or 6 of Mozambique in international studies. And we're trying still to prepare our presentation from memory about Mozambique on this big page. We did an additional part in geography, and where we went over geography and the cities of Mozambique. Okay, it was the last country in southeastern Africa which became independent. It was a Portuguese colony. It had a broad coastal plain. That is why the rivers can swell. They are just rising 150 meters. The soil is sometimes fertile with alluvium and sometimes barren sand. Maybe we managed to save it. Fertile alluvium, barren sand sometimes. And when we're having the plateaus, we're having in the north, we did it in geography, maybe we're going to say it the way we did it there. Rather than that's easier than follow these words. We're having the Tanzania, and then we're having a continuation with the Yassa Highlands, and we're having the Moody Mount, 2,500 meters. We're having a continuation of the Rhodesian uplands, which is also 2,500 meters high, if I'm right. Western Highlands, 2,400. Western Highlands are an extension of the Rhodesian uplands and reach 2,400 on the frontier. It has a tropical climate in the center and in the south north, but there is the warm offshore Mozambique current, whatever it means. There's a wind going down, making it warm down there. Temperature 23 to 27. In the Moody Mountains, that is by the Moody Mountain, a bit in the north, where it can rain 150 centimeters with heavy thunder, rainstorms. That is why, rainfall is December to April, thundery showers. That is why the rivers can swell and cause flooding on the fertile alluvium or barren sand regions. I think the fertile alluvium are the one flooding. Okay. And we're having savanna, we're having skark scattered in higher areas and densely scattered woodland with grassland in the lower areas, a thin tropical forest at the coast, a narrow belt of tropical forest borders the coast. Mangroves are in the delta areas, I think, of the rivers, so trees which are standing in the water. There are elephants, lions, leopards, and I said zebras in the geography part, but I think they're zebras. Elephants, lions, leopards. And okay, the next thing is 88% are farmers, most of them substantial. The data are the book is from 1978, so we're going to stay a bit more vague on these data. And most 80% farm products. At Teet, there's the city we are next to the lake where the Copacabana Dam is. So Teet, there's coal made for electricity. The cities Maputo and Beira. Maputo is the capital in the south. Beira is a bit more north, a bit south of Beira is Nova Sofala, and Kimani is a bit more north. In Maputo there are 400,000 people living, but it is from the 70s, so it could be different. However, one of the world's largest hydroelectric schemes, the Copacabana Dam, we're just going to say Copacabana Dam, completed in 1974. And it will also supply electricity for South Africa. The exploitation of the Zambezi Valley Island. Do we have it here? Zambezi! Okay, next to State there's also Zambezi. The region Zambezi. And in Zambezi there is iron. Iron, coal, manganese and chrome. Iron and coal, manganese and chrome. Iron and coal, manganese and chrome. Iron and coal, manganese and chrome. Zambezi. So take Zambezi, Copacabana, there's Malawi, Lake Malawi. And 1/6 in the ports of Maputo are only from Mozambique, versus from South Africa and Swaziland. In Beira and also from Zaire. Yes, Zaire. I think I said it in the previous part, I don't know where Zaire is. Of Zambia and Malawi. Maybe. If we try not to say of Zaire, because which is just confused because I don't know what the term means, which will just confuse if I don't know what it means. Of Zambia and Malawi in Beira. Beira. And Nacala. More in the north. Nacala in the north. And Nacala in the north has a railing to Malawi. There's also a port. So we're in the port Beira of Zambia and Malawi. Malawi also a railroad to Nacala, and Maputo makes South Africa and Swaziland. When you go on, maybe this is may have all changed. 10% Christians, 10% Muslims. The rest have other religions. The language is Bantu. We try to say it. Bantu. The language is Bantu. And the next thing is when in 1489 Vasco da Gama landed there, and colonization began 1505. So 7 years later, 1488, 1505, 7 years later. Next 200 years fought at Novara Safala and Kilimane and Nakula. Nakala. Maputo, Nakala, Nova Safala and Kilimane took is of Asia, which declined when after the Portuguese Empire in Asia declined in the 18th century. In the 18th. 200 years, from 1505 to 75, about 200 years. And the country, so they say that the country Mozambique gained its size after it gained a part of the previously by Germany controlled, or the German Empire controlled German East Africa, which is today Namibia. On the other side of Western Africa, South Africa. And after the Second World War, there was a rise in nationalism. Many people wanted that Mozambique is independent from the Portuguese rule, and the guerrilla war started from 1964 until 1974. These are the dates: 64, 74, 75 in independence, and Rhodesia the book is from 78. So Mozambique continued to have a politic which tried to have independence not only in their own country but also in the neighboring countries, which brought them into warlike conflict with Rhodesia at some times. Both Mozambique and Rhodesian forces raided across the border. The next year, the president declared his country's opposition to European rule in Rhodesia. He closed the border and declared a state of war. Both Mozambique and Rhodesian forces raided across the border. Okay, anything else? The size, maybe? I think we're just going to start at... We're going to do 80% of the information. I'm going to start the camera and try to say it. Nacala, Maputo. Seizure. I have it in my head, seizure. The countries, first the countries, it was Tanzania, and then Lake Malawi, the country Malawi, and then Zambia, and then Rhodesia, and then South Africa, Swaziland. Mozambique. Mozambique is in Africa at the southeast. And it is a country that has around land from north to south of around 3,000 kilometers and from west to east of around 300-400. Now, and it has some bordering countries, and in the north it is Tanzania, and then there's the Lake Malawi, and then there's the country Malawi, and then there's Rhodesia, and then South Africa, and there's landlocked Swaziland. The capital is Maputo in the south, and other cities are then Kilimane, a bit more in the north, in the middle Beira and Nova Sofala in the north, Nacala. Now, there's what do we start? There are sometimes thundery rainstorms in the western highlands, which are a continuation of the uplands of Rhodesia, and that can lead the rivers, which are going through a flat coastal plain of 200-300 kilometers, in which the country rises just 150 meters through, and that can cause flooding. There are fertile alluvium ground regions and barren sand regions. There's savanna mostly, and in the higher areas it is scark woodland, in the lower areas thickly woodland with a lot of grass. There are elephants and leopards and I think lions. Now, and there's tropical climate, 23 to 27 degrees. In the south, it is not part of the tropics, but there is a warm offshore Mozambique current. And Now there are also the Nyasa Highlands in the north and the mountain Namuli and the Western Highlands were all around 2,500 meters high. They are a continuation of the Tanzanian mountains, the Nyasa Highlands. Now, the people living there, they are 10% Christians and 10% Muslims, and the others have other beliefs. And the country was the last South African country which gained its independence from colonialistic rule of Portugal. And that happened after this. The country gained a bit of size after the First World War from the German East Africa. It got a bit larger. And then after the Second World War, there was now rising in independence, that the people wanted to be independent. And then from 64 until 74, there was also a guerrilla war against the Portuguese troops. And then in 1975, Mozambique gained independence. And the country continued a politic of trying to get independence in their country and also the neighboring countries from European rule that brought them into conflict with Rhodesia, their warlike conflict. And now, Swaziland and so 80% of the people are farmers, and most of them on a substantial level. And most goods exported from the harbors in Maputo and of Beira and also Nacala, they are from other countries. So only 1/6 of the exports of these ports are from Mozambique itself, 1/6. The rest is in the south and Maputo, from South Africa, the country South Africa, and from the landlocked Swaziland. And then Beira has not from Rhodesia, it has from Zambia and from Malawi. And Malawi has also a train route to the Kilimani, the city Kilimani port also. Now, Nova Sofala is also a place where Portuguese ships in the past landed to go further to Asia. In 1498, Vasco da Gama landed there in Mozambique, and then at Nova Sofala and at Kilimani, there were stations made for ships to come from Portugal, which is next to Spain on the Iberian Peninsula, down around Africa, then making halt in Mozambique there at Nova Sofala and Kilimani, and then on to the Portuguese colonies in Asia. In the 18th century, Asia had not so much colonies in Asia anymore, and they weren't doing it so much anymore. And that is Mozambique. And that is according to Nations and Places on the page 1237 and 1238 of Reader's Digest Library of Modern Knowledge 3/22, written by Monica Beckinsale, Robert Beckinsale, Harold Blackmore, DJ Dwyer, Keith Lyer, Stuart and Nancy McMillan, Ari H. Miller, Kevin Raffett, D.H. Sinclair, Arthur Spencer, Gia Story, James Wallasey, and Kenneth Walton. And there is a lake, and there's the County Tate, and there is coal mined, and there's also the copper Bessa Dam that makes electricity for Maputo, and also coal is to have the manufacturing running. And at that place there's also manganese and chrome and iron and coal dig. Okay, I remember, but I'm going to stop the camera. A second, man. And that was the international studies, but I don't know, maybe for 2 things most certainly, which I wanted to name, but it's okay. That was the international studies part. If you were here for international studies, you can go directly to the next part of international studies, where we're going to do something else. I don't know what yet. If you stay here and participate in the shortened, we just have 1 minute left, extensor kapillar strength training, then it's very honest. So if you participate, that is it, honest. Have your hands with fists next to you and bring the fists down and again. And the next exercise, fists and now go up and again down. Now, if there's anywhere pain, then stop immediately. And this is the first rule. That is the first rule. If there's pain, stop immediately. The second rule is go on as far as you can go. A little bit of next exercise. Next exercise is we have done with hand. Have fists and bring them to the outside. Make strong fists to the outside. And doing that. And the third rule is that we're not overdoing it. We just want to strengthen, not to exhaust. And now hold the fists, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense. Bring them down and up. But this time, make strong fists. That's good. Down. Now both hands straight and just press the note position. No, it wasn't probably, we don't have values. But thank you very much, and until next time.